Welcome, Rust community, to the first episode of Configure's Corner, a channel built for electricians by electricians, and it is our sole intent to bring your Rust electricity skills to the next level by demonstrating different Rust electricity circuits and components, or showing you how we fix wire diagrams submitted by, fans or people in the community. So, and that second thing is what we're going to be doing today. We got a submission by a very good friend and a member of the community, Sandwich. If you would like to join the community, you can go to this website, and there's a way to navigate, I think right around here, to rustitions.io. You can build your wire diagram, and you can get to our Discord, the Rusticity Workshop Discord. So hope to see you there, and hope to see a new face. So let's get into the circuit today, and the solution, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, requires a configure siphon. And I'm so happy that the first episode I get to show you what that is, because that is a personal design of mine that I built hoping it would become a staple and a standard component within a circuit, or module within a circuit, in every buddy circuit, like a household circuit, I should say. So we should go over what the issue is. This is a really slick trap-based design built by Sandwich, and I really like what he did here. He did a really cool job making a system where both the person has to be both in range of the heartbeat sensor and has to be in the particular place he wanted them for the trap to kick off. And the heartbeat sensor, as long as it's still present by the heartbeat sensor, they would still be trapped, because the heartbeat sensor, even if they triggered this and left this, it would still be holding the trigger down to kill, which is brilliant in my opinion. But more of the issue is, look at this power just being wasted on a door controller. Just 105 units. Now I get it's flipping it from the left here over to the right when it gets triggered by the detection system to the kill mechanism, but that is such an inefficient use of power just to spin it to an electrical component that only needs 1 unit of power. There's a better way to do this, and that's what the configure siphon addresses. Okay, now I kind of just did us a favor and got rid of just all of this for right now. Kind of just took it out of the picture. The rest of all this stuff, you should learn the knee core. You should really learn it. We'll go over that on another video. But all this other stuff, we're just gonna take it out and just focus on this issue right here. Now, it's what you're seeing is the most common issue that people have. Okay, you have your power being sent to here, and it's being arrested somehow, and you're just wasting all this power. Now the configure siphon fixes this. Alright, now I'm going to show you how it fixes this, okay? Because we're going to use this light over here as the represent the kill mechanism, like a Tesla coil or a turret, whatever, what have you, right? And we're going to use this heartbeat sensor as a representation of our variable, our conditional statement. Because really what this is if this is true, then do this. That's really what a conditional statement is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and power up the configure siphon. We're gonna go ahead and power up the configure siphon and get power flowing through the line, this main line. So we got one line of power going through here, right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and fly. Boom. Okay, so That light represents any auxiliary circuits that you might have afterwards, okay? Like you might have electric furnaces, auto sorting mechanisms would be at the end of this, because you would have your traps would probably take priority over your sorting mechanisms. Like you don't want your sorting mechanisms to take priority over the killing mechanism that's supposed to kill someone in your base, right? You want to make sure that your circuit's going to kill people first and then do whatever it needs to do in the background later, right? So we put this killing mechanism and the heartbeat sensor lower on the configure siphon, because lower on the configure siphon has higher energy priority, right? And there's also something to consider, right? And I'll show you this in a second, the thing to consider. But first, let's go ahead and continue wiring this up. So first of all, we need to say, hey, this trigger is going to make the power go from this left output. All of it's going to the left. And you're going to see something weird. This is a bug with the memory cell. It's actually going to appear that it's going to split the power when I connect it here. And let me show you. So let's go ahead and connect that. So you see, like, there's 9,999 units of power going through here, right? And once I plug this in, it's gonna look like it's split. But that's not accurate, because if I were to take this wire and plug it into this light, it doesn't light up. So that's just an illusion. It's a bug. So all the power is really going down this line. Let's go ahead and wire this up. Okay, so what's going on is when this activates under the presence of whoever's, gonna be picked up by this, it sets the set button, the side inputs that change the direction, whether it's going to come out from the left side or the right side. And don't worry if I call it the left side or the right side, because the inverted output is a confusing name, and output, like, that makes sense, but inverted output really throws people off, so I just call it left output and right output. So set changes or basically just sets the power to come out through the right output. Reset sets the memory cell to make the power go out through the left output. Toggle allows you to toggle between the two. Okay, now understand there is a priority when it comes to these side inputs. The top button is going to be listened to by the memory cell above all these others. So if I have all these plugged in, all these other side inputs plugged in, the one that's going to be heard by the memory cell is this one, because it has priority over this one, and this one has priority over this one, toggle. So reset has priority over toggle, okay? And so we're kind of taking advantage of this mechanic to set this kill mechanism, and when this is when it's relieved, right, when this button is relieved of energy, it automatically sets itself back over. So what it does when let's back up a few steps here, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and say we hit that, right? It's picking me up, so it's flipping the electrical branch, or the memory cell. All that power is going from the left output to the right output, right? Now all the power is going into here. So let's go ahead and wire this and demonstrate it. Okay. So boom. All right. The power is no longer going up here, right? See, zero power. All the power is actually going through here. All 9,999 units of power, despite it saying 4,000. It's really all of it, not half of the power. See right there. So what we need to do, say this is a splitter, right? That then leads to 3 Tesla coils, right? So we'll need 103 units of power, because that's basically industry standard when it comes to dealing with that. Boom. All right. So we got this power is going to feed our splitter. And so we need to feed this with power. So what we do is we take a little bit of power we need. So we set this to 103, right? We need to get power to that 103, right? Boom. All right. So I'm picked up. It's telling this to move all the power this way, right? But what are we doing? We're still running into the same problem as before. We are only using... Oh, and I need to set this to 105, and I'll explain why in a second. So we are taking all the power this way. So we took all 9,000 units of power this way, and we're only giving this 103 units of power. What are we going to do with the rest of the 9,700, 800 units of power? Well, we're going to return it downstream. And let me change the... it's gonna go back downstream here. So now other things, like maybe you're frying a guy in room A, but somebody's in room B and you need to fry that guy too. Well, luckily when this takes the power, it dumps it back in. It takes only what it needs for the kill mechanism, and it returns the rest of the 9,893 back into the rest of the power line for you, so you're not hijacking the entire power supply to do one thing at a time. You can use only what you need to power the function's electrical requirements, right? So, well, when I leave, exclude authorized, right? We're gonna get, well, shoot, it's still on. It's still buzzing, and your electric coils are still going off, and they're depleting in health every second. What do you do? What do you do? Well, you tell the memory cell, see how this is no longer applying power? This wire comes in and says, hey, this guy's no longer saying anything. This guy's no longer putting in electricity in a set. You need to listen to me now and reset the memory cell so all the power can go back down this line. So now we're no longer powering this. That 103 and 105 units of power, that 105 actually units of power, we are branching off into this direction here, has now returned back down to the power supply line, the main line of power. And so this is just one, and it repeats itself until you get to the end, and you always cap the end off with an OR switch or an XR. XOR, it doesn't really matter, but we like the OR switch because it's just a little bit better. But here's something to remember, okay? In the brief moment that the power is going from here and transferring to here, and then going to this branch, and then coming back up and back into this OR switch, there's a brief moment in time where the electricity is not flowing through the line. You don't see it because it happens so quick, but for a moment in time, when this is transferring the power from left output to the right output, there's no power flowing through the line. It's really quick, but it's like, it can affect how your circuit performs, okay? And you got to keep that in mind. There's some nuances working with the configure siphon when you're hooking it up to do certain things, okay? And so priority is an important thing to remember, okay? And I'll explain why. So let me tell you what we took out here. All right, let me just reiterate what we took out. All right, we have the wire thing here, or we have the laser thing here, and we have the heartbeat sensor thing here, right? Ultimately, there's some logic going on, but at the end of the day, they're both the logic ends up at an AND switch, and I've represented that AND switch right here. That AND switch is right there. So he wanted these two, right? Boom, right? To kill someone, right? And to shut the door. So what he wanted was these two detection mechanisms to ultimately go to an AND switch, and there was a bunch of logic in between that. And as we know, heartbeat sensors will only put out 1 unit of power if it's picking, only 1 unit of power per person it's picking up. And so that's not very conducive when you're trying to make a trap base, when you're usually only catching one person at a time, right? And you got a bunch of logic. You can't really make that 1 unit of power for that one person being, seen by this. You can't really make that one unit of power stretch through a bunch of logic. So you have to borrow power. And this is the best way to do it, rather than doing some system like this where you have to continuously supply power to this, or use an OR switch to supply power to that consistently and constantly uses more power than you need. You can just use this to flip it over when you need to, right? To then trigger this, because you don't need more power. You don't need to spend more power than you need to generate, right? That's just inefficient. So the idea is just to use power when you need to. So the fact that this creates enough power, so we, instead of getting one power output, we're turning it into 2 right here. So then we can feed it here, or into whatever logic system he needs, right? And at the time, the reason why I set this up to close the door, because like when you look at his situation here, right? He needed to close the door. Well, he did that by achieving kind of the same thing that I did, but I just basically put a branch right here and then continue this configure siphon upward, right? And that's what you see what I did. I basically just improved upon the design just a little bit to make it functional and efficient. I mean, his did work, but it was just much more expensive. But now we can take all that power that we was sending to here, right? Now it's going here and down the line. Now we can power all kinds of things after this. And that is how you can use a configure siphon in your circuit, and you can do it in a simple way, or you can do it in an advanced way where a configure siphon module is used to trigger another configure siphon module. Alright, and that basically wraps up our first episode of Configure's Corner. I hope you learned things. I'll be going over the individual components as time goes on, but this is such an important circuit for people to know. I figured I'd go ahead and hit the ground running with this. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time, and please subscribe and like so you get the and hit the notification bell so you get the next broken electrical circuit. Okay, it's just absolutely broken what I'm going to be showing y'all. All right, so stay tuned.